Hey, She Slayers, and welcome to another episode of She Slays the Day podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lauryn Brunslick, and today I have my mini host, not Dr. Kirby Brunslick.
Mini host?
I don't like co. You're not a co-host.
Special guest.
You're not the special guest. Tony and Kristina are the special guest.
Now you gave away the surprise.
The literal title of the episode gave away the surprise.
You don't know that. I title the episodes.
Tony will be offended if you do not have his name in.
It'll be in there somewhere at the end in smaller letters. Just messing with you, Tony.
My not co-host, my mini host, my temporary host, my
take this
occasional
all out
host.
in editing. You just be super host. You'll be like and then it'll cut
super host. Yeah, August is happening.
Yeah, we're starting to get somewhat back into
speak for your fucking self.
We're trying to.
Okay, so I was talking to my friend Morgan, and she said that her Reiki person told her that this moon is like half for what?
I just thought in my head, if Morgan didn't know the proper name for a gardener, so she just called him a Reiki person.
I find out on our deathbed that for years she's like, you know what my Reiki person told me? And I've been
He told me to use fertilizer. That's why my lawn is so
He also said this moon for half of people is very resting and restorative. And then for other half of people is like stirring up a bunch of shit and like escalating it to a point where they're going to have to deal with it. And I feel like you and I might be on different sides of the moon. I went into the month I had a good plan. I was like, all right, Airbnb's done. I am going to do this elimination diet. I'm going to stop eating a bunch of junk, take back my health. I'm going to hydrate. I'm going to stop like forcing my adrenals into submission and like do yoga and walk. And I was going to do some other shit that was good for me. Meditate and like grab coffee with friends. And then like so far we're 9 days in and I hate this month.
You just described the most stressful de-stressing campaign I've ever heard.
I know. That's why I'm seeking therapy. Yeah, so I have not.
I need to relax. So here's the 14-point plan that has to be executed perfectly to relax.
Oh, I know. So you and I have done therapy.
Yes.
And I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did the like BetterHelp, not an ad.
Yeah, I did that
thing.
too.
I didn't love it.
I didn't either.
But this time I'm trying a real person in real life, and I just submitted all my things, and I'm really hoping that they are reading my submission and like laughing, but also like knowing what, like, because there's multiple therapists there, and so I want them to like get a vibe of me and be like, okay, who wants a crazy one? Because I will be the type of person that's like, okay, here's my deal. I deal with control issues. I deal with this. I do this. And then they look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm here.
Oh, I have a fun question. Will you be disappointed if you find out that they are very prepared for this and that you are a very common case of like control?
Oh, I know I am. Yeah, I told them
I just didn't
like,
know if like your special radar would be upset that if you're just
I don't
like,
think
oh,
so.
Yeah, a lot of people have that.
No, I think that would actually make me feel, I know that a lot of people, like, it's that achiever mindset shit. That I think, honestly, calling it the achiever mindset gives achievers a bad name. Mm-hmm. Like, there should be something darker that we call it. Like, you fucked up.
You're not in charge of naming things around here.
I literally wrote in my submission, like, they're like, what do you want out of therapy? And I said, I want to feel content. I don't want someone to tell me to stop working so hard. So we will see.
The most controlling thing ever, controlling what they're going to tell you to help you.
I told them I was an Enneagram 3, Wing 4, and if they don't, like, if they're good at their job, they'll know what that is, and they'll be like, oh, okay, we know what we're dealing with here. So anyways,
yeah.
So my month has been interesting.
Mine has been, I mean, there's still obvious weird things, I had to go out and change a propane tank for our first Airbnb guest, which I was not expecting to be on my list of duties. But that went good. And I'm starting to get back into like being able to focus with the Airbnb. We kind of, at least I took my eye off the ball in terms of the business and like our house and stuff. So like this week, I'm trying to take something to make the team feel like, hey, you still remember me, you still care about me. So I've been working on getting Sked integrated into our website. So that right now, like we send people, they request an appointment, then they go to a jot form, then a CA has to call them back and then schedule them on the phone. And I just took so much of that first visit phone call content and a video we made, put it into the Sked app. Now when they click request an appointment, they pick their office and they can see actual live times. So, and then they immediately get sent their first day paperwork and the follow-on texts are already like done. So like I am trying to alleviate some stress from the CAs and I'm thinking this is going to be the killer thing. So I hope it works and that they love me and don't think that I hate them.
What would, so like if I didn't have you, like that sounds really involved of like, how would that have worked? Would I have needed to have hired like normally a web person?
If people have a web developer who like made their site, that's usually the person they do a little bit of maintenance with. But like even if you had like a Wix site, it was on my end, like all the Sked stuff is cool. It's like they have you fill in the content you want to show and it already integrates with our system so it'll live show what times we have available. And then all I did was change the link from the button when they click Rice Lake to go to the Sked page instead of the jot form page.
Got it.
So like there was a lot of complicated stuff with jot form and calls and all that, but now it's like they click that button, they get sent to the thing, integrates with our system, CAs don't have to talk to them.
This control issues. I'm going to have to bring up Sked. I wonder how many times I'm going to talk to my therapist about like, but no, I've been doing the hard work. We've been rolling out these new features at our clinic that have really been helping. Maybe this is why my control issues are coming to a head with this moon, because
You've
I'm
been
like
giving things over to apps and automation.
So I'm like, okay, so I can't seek control over there. So now I'll just double down on control elsewhere. But the CAs love it. And I mean, I love it because then that frees them up for other stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's, we're becoming better people. I feel like we should be better at this 12 years in.
Oh, you just have bigger and more interesting and different problems. Like, I mean, it's easy when you're starting out and everything is keeping the lights on and there's only one person and all that. Like, we didn't have HR issues when we started. Like, but then I've learned a lot on how to manage people and deal with things because I had to.
Yeah.
It's the journey.
And then Q4, I'm doing Elise Rigney's thing. Mm-hmm. So like that therapy better start working quick. Because can you imagine, like, if I get off a call for, like, chiro intensive and I'm like, oh, yeah, I am totally changing all these things. And then I go to my therapist and she's like, okay, so we're going to try not changing anything for a bit. I'm going to be like, that actually won't work with me. See, I signed up for a program simultaneously the same time I started therapy. But at least golf will be over, so I won't have to stress about that. So
there's good and bads with everything. Like, every time we go for a new coaching thing or a new seminar, we learn a ton. It helps a ton. But I do feel like if things are starting to go smoothly, you will seek what is wrong, no matter what.
I showed my cards. So I think it's an Enneagram 3 thing that you overshare a little bit. And I just got back from another play date. Oh my gosh. Why do men not have to go to these things?
You didn't ask me to.
Anyways, she was delightful. Again, the woman was delightful, but like somehow in our talk, she was like, and I thought I was like being normal mom.
You said that while doing robot arms.
Robot arms. I did do robot arms while I said that. And I said something and she was like, so what do you do for like you time? And I was like, I have a podcast. I run. What do you mean? I clean my house. I don't know. So I don't know. Everybody's a little broken, but I have an update on last week's listener highlight.
Oh, cool.
Did you listen?
Yeah. I listened to every word.
Okay. So last week's highlight was an Apple review from June from an O. Douglas 9. I went off on a little bit of a tangent about Dublin and O. Douglas and Garth Brooks and just a whole thing. And she had said like she was going to chiropractic school with her boyfriend and that the podcast had helped get her excited. I don't know. I'm not going to repeat it for you. Go back and listen. It was a great episode. But she reached out and she was like, hey, you read my Apple review. I don't live in Dublin. So we're all disappointed. She wanted to see Garth Brooks there also. But she did let me know that she's going to chiropractic school because she really wants to, not just because of her boyfriend.
Sounds like something a hostage would say.
Oh, Douglas, blink twice if you're being held hostage in chiropractic school. She said she knew she wanted to go to grad school, but wasn't sure for what. She's an Enneagram 7 with a lot of 3. Yeah, that's the ADHD where it's like, achiever, I'm bored, I don't want to feel emotions. And at first she wanted to do something different. Oh, maybe she's got 4 in her too, because she's bored with her current job as a clinical research tech, but now she's learned a lot more about chiropractic and she's confident that this is what she wants to do. I think I said something along the lines of, if you break up, like, will you still be happy? She said they've been together for 3 years, so they're pretty serious. But if for some reason they did break up, she will definitely not quit school. So just in case y'all were worried about O. Douglas last week, like I was.
Oh, Douglas is okay.
Oh, Douglas is okay.
Unless she's being held hostage and someone else forced her to write all that.
So on that note, you should leave a Apple review so we can read your listener highlight and dissect your life and see whether you're okay
Granny
or not.
Smiths are disgusting.
What?
That's my Apple review.
Oh my, you think I'm bad on tangents? What the hell's wrong with you? Oh my gosh. Okay. We need to get into this episode. Tony is just like fast forwarding so he can hear himself. Are they to me yet? Are they to me yet? Are they to me? Okay, so this is date night number 4?
I believe so.
Date night number 4. Mo and Tamara, Stu and Hillary, Nancy and David.
Believe so.
All right, we're on to 4. And so this means he's the 4th male guest, not the 1st.
Mm-hmm. Well,
third male guest. Yep.
And 4th.
Fourth you. I do count you as my mini host.
I'm a mini man, so I don't know.
I did not say mini man. I said mini host. I don't think he followed the rules and submitted a bio. So that means that we get to make one up for him.
All right. So
Tony Ebel and Kristina Ebel. They live in Crystal Lake. Here's what I know. Here's what I know to be true. And then here's the rest of their bio.
Okay.
They have goats.
Mm-hmm.
He may or may not run one of the largest, most successful pediatric practices in the world. I don't know for a fact, but like,
it's got to be up
if
there.
If we were playing Family Feud,
he'd be on the board.
I would guess he'd be on the board. Mm-hmm. He'd be on the board. He has it's not a coaching program. What is it? What is the pediatric experience?
It's
a bomb-ass deal.
Yeah, it's a great deal. It's kind of everything. It's not typical coaching program in like you just go to a seminar and get pumped up and have some systems and procedures. It's got like a ton of systems and procedures. Really well run.
Help.
CA help is a big component of it.
Scanning help.
It's like
communications
a content library that also has weekly live trainings and like office hours. So like it's not just come to the training on this subject. We have that and it's on a video and it's great, but you can also comment and get reactions to that, or you can ask weekly questions from the people who are making the videos.
Yes.
So I don't know what to call that, but yep.
And our team loves it. I love it. So there's that. Mm-hmm. They have cute kids. What do they have? 4? I don't know. Anytime somebody has more than 3, I lose track. Like literally, if it's more than 3, and they might.
And then you mix them in with the goats, and it's hard to count them all. He's got goats.
Yep. And then Tony's short, and so you're like, I don't know which one. Is that a kid?
That kid's got a beard.
Yep. He likes rucking.
Loves rucking.
Christina's an 8, which was mind blowing. What is he? 7? Is that what we? I know he was not a 3.
Yeah, I would think so.
7 wing 8. And she's an 8-wing 9. Is that what we...
Well, and that's the cool thing, and you see it in the episode, but like her, she is not a shrinking violet. Like, she is part of the crew. She takes on stuff. Like, she has her domain. Like, it's not support for Tony while he builds an empire.
Yeah,
like,
I like that.
Like, she's very, very cool and brilliant, and it was fun to get to talk to both of them, you know, and it's cool that someone can get Tony to stop talking for a minute.
Yep. Yeah, he did good.
He really did.
Now, here's what you may have never heard about Tony Ebel in any of his multiple bios that are on.
Before he was a chiropractor, Tony was part of a special operations unit in the military, and his code name was Meat Grinder. And after he washed out, he had to go into protective custody, and his cover was as a pediatric chiropractor. Over time, he came to love it and built an empire.
Yep. Kristina actually has built 7 orphanages in Africa. And she is such a good runner that she doesn't travel via Jeep. She just runs the 200 miles in between and will dig the ditches and do all those things. So she's to date saved about 17,000 children in Africa.
That's perfect, because that's just as many as Tony's killed.
Oh my God.
So that's the real story.
That's the real story. And then they let goats sleep in their king size bed with him. He's gone viral about chickens. That's actually a true story. That one's actually true. And if you haven't guessed it, they are dear friends of ours.
They are amazing.
We get to razz them. He actually gave me shit for using the word razz to him. He's like, "How old are you?" I'm like, "I'm bringing it back." So they're not here, so we get to razz them in their intro.
Yep. But their episode is great. I'm so excited for you guys to hear it. What's left to do?
Nothing. There is bonus content if you are a She Slays member. If you don't know what that is, click the Patreon link below. You can check out, there's 3 different ways to be a member. That middle way, that $12.99 a month amount, gets extra trainings and also gets access to anytime we have a guest, we do bonus speedrun content at the end. And so you get that little extra with them.
Oh, we got to pray too.
We have to pray.
Is that me?
That's you.
All right. Dear God, thank you for bringing us back together again. Thank you for this community of people who are trying to grow and become better people and help other people. Thank you for people like Tony and Kristina that have so much love for you and so much purpose to go help others, and the skills and fortitude and passion and fearlessness to go out and actually change the world. Help us to be inspired by that and each find our way to change our world in our own way. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for these people. Amen.
Amen. All right. I hope you enjoy our date night number 4 with Tony and Kristina Ebel.
Bye.
We already figured out I don't have did you guys brush your teeth?
I did, yeah.
I did, but we look, for some reason in the middle of summer, we look pasty or white. I'm so done with this studio and ready for PXHQ. We have white people lights, evidently.
Is this why you're rucking so much? So you can get a tan?
It's the only reason. And
I feel like we're a little bit tan though, really. I don't know what's with our lights. Well, it's the filter, that Instagram filter doesn't follow you around in light, Tony.
Come on, Valencia.
Okay, so let's get to the heart of the issue. I now know Tony's Enneagram. And you know what? I will eat dirt there as soon as you said. So here's the thing with the Enneagram and why you're not supposed to type people, because it's not based on action. It's based on motives. But like what happens is you just see people doing things that you would do. And you're like, oh, that's such a 3 thing. That's such a 9 thing. And then when you hear like, well, their motivation behind why they're doing it, you're like, oh, no, you're right. So when you said you're a 7-wing 8 or an 8-wing 7?
7.
What was number 1? 7?
7 was, and then 8 was right on the heels of it.
So so you're a 7-wing 8. I was like, oh, of course he is. The ADHD makes total sense. Yeah. No time for negative emotions. No time. All going forward. All fun.
Yeah.
Kristina, what are you?
I'm an 8. I'm a challenger, like hardcore.
You are?
I don't have much below it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, whatever the point, it's like
That's
49
nice.
points to 8. And then like, there was a 1 point somewhere else.
Okay, the world needs to know this about you, Kristina. 8s are terrifying.
Well, I feel like our people in our day-to-day life do know that I'm an 8.
They know. Yeah.
Wow.
Like people at
That
PX
is-
and PX would
Yeah.
hands down believe I'm an 8.
Yeah. She carries brass knuckles in her back pocket as a regular kind of move. And a butterfly or not butter knife, butterfly.
She's
But I'm a mom and I'm an 8. Because a lot of times, like a 7 would hook up with like a 2, like or just even taking it out of the Enneagram, the like visionary executor. Is executor the word?
like executioner.
That's what we call her. I call her the chief executioner officer.
But I think that's kind of like with the two of us, like we are both super like passionate, hardcore in what we want. So sometimes it is like a headbutting, but it's also, it makes things very easy, like decision wise, because we both know if it's a yes, like we just like sync up and go full speed ahead. So yes, it can at sometimes be a little bit challenging because if we're in disagreement, it's, you know, a little bit of like, we are so hardcore, this is the way we want to go. But it truly makes it so easy when we both know it's something that we want to go after, because then we just are like, straight ahead, full speed, 0 questions asked. We're not looking back. Let's do it.
And we've learned to trust her discernment primarily because I am so fast that there's literally like, I can think fast, but then I go so fast. No one can really think that fast, right? And make decisions on the fly in that way. So she has a much more discernment component. I think that was one other one we did. I don't know if it'd be, you know, in the same vein as Enneagram, but was Patrick Lencioni. We love his books, you know, the Ideal Team Player. And he has like the 6 gifts or whatever it is. And so like discernment, and I don't even remember the other ones.
I think he stole that from the Bible.
It seems like
I think that dude just totally.
It seemed like so.
These are the vegetables of the spirit, not the fruits. I'm not stupid.
Right. Just change it a little bit, and it's mine. Yeah.
So discernment, but like, what are like? So is that Kristina's, and then what was yours?
Oh yeah, just straight discernment, and then same as a 7. Then whatever it was, I can't remember the exact term, but it's like rallying the troops. You know, that classic vision, like get people behind a
Leadership.
cause. Yeah, that jazz for sure. But
so did you guys have to early on? So like, you know, how long have you been married?
What's going to be this? We always screw this up.
18 years, 17 or 18
Carry
years.
the 2004, 16 years. Yeah,
Okay.
16 years.
So I used to, so this is not my point. Remember I had a point, but it was something about early on in their marriage and figuring out boundaries. Okay. But so right now we're married just at the point where I think you start to lose track. But you're like, remember when you're 20 and you asked someone how old they were? Yeah. And they were like,
like 34 or
30, and you're like, what the hell, dude? It's your age.
Right.
And then,
like, it's so important.
And then that started happening. I remember I had a CA who our kids were like 1 and 3. And I asked her what grade her kid was in. She's like, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. And I was like, how do you not know? And it's like, oh yeah, it all comes. So I am sure within 3 years, we're like, how the hell long have we been married?
The nice thing is we got married in 2010. So it's always easy math. I'm just like, is it our anniversary yet? No, 11 years, not 12 years yet.
We got married in 2005. So it's an even number year.
Yeah.
We should.
Still doesn't seem to be helping.
Yes.
It does not.
The good thing about the birthday part though, is one time my 38th birthday was the best ever. Cause the entire year on my own, in my own head, just had a little bad Santa reference there. In my own head, I was a year older, and then my birthday came and Kristina like gave me a present or whatever. And it was like, happy 38th. And I'm like, thanks, wife. You got my birthday wrong. And she's like, no, moron. You're actually only 38. And I was like, awesome. I just lost a year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Cool. This reminds me, and it's funny that we're talking to him.
I was going to say, it's a funny segue because she forgot my birthday and it involves you.
Okay. So I don't know, it's like January or February or something like that. And you post that you're doing a Crystal Lake training, one of your total trainings. And we have these new docs that are starting the beginning of March. And I was like, hey, it's like morning where you're like getting ready, but like working. And I'm like, hey, just FYI, I think I need to take the docs down to one of Tony's trainings. Is the weekend of March 11th. I just think it's really necessary with like the new docs and this and that. And Kirb's like, oh, okay.
So then she just goes back into her closet to like get ready for the day. And I'm just sitting there like,
Kirby's a 9.
I'm like, I don't mind. Like, I'm not a big birthday guy and it's for the team. So like, obviously they can go to the training, but like, she didn't even mention that it's like on my birthday. She's like, it's okay if she's going to miss it. But like, so I like muster up the courage to like actually say my feelings. And I go in there, I'm like, hey, it's totally fine if you guys go, but like, you just didn't even say it was my birthday.
So I'm like staring at him. And in my head, I'm thinking like, of course it's his birthday. When I first looked at the training, I was like, oh, good. Kirby's birthday is March 18th. It was not. And so I'm staring at him as he's giving me his feelings. And I'm like, if this is going to sound like a lie, there is no way that he will believe that I thought his birthday was March 18th for a second. And now when he's bringing it up, of course it's the 11th. But yeah, so I didn't go to your damn training. Okay.
There you go. Let's go. Happy birthday. Bring Kirby. Let's go.
Okay. So back to my original question. So now at this stage, 17 or 15 or 18 years into your marriage, I'm sure you guys have very aligned mission. It just comes with age and books and therapy of like the marriage and the union of God and what you're here to do. Let's rewind though. Like, was it always like that? Like how, Kristina, what's your chiropractic story?
Oh man, I would say honestly, just kind of when we first got married, it's just, like we love each other. Let's do this. And so many different people would, be surprised that we didn't align too much of anything other than I love you and we want to get married. Yeah. He proposed to me after 5 months and we got married a year and 2 months after that, I think. And then we just really have truly figured everything out as we've kind of gone along the way and just lots of open communication and pivots. But chiropractic, when we first started, it was our business. It was going to be how we supported our family. It was just going to be our business that we operated to support our life. And it truly started after Oliver, our son, was born and he had a long NICU stay. I got to see chiropractic in action. And even at that point, I don't think I thought it was going to help him in any way. Like I remember there would be nights when we were in the NICU, they had like this one room that parents could stay in. And it was one room out of the entire hospital that they let parents stay in. And we got that room because that's, how bad it was. And I just remember like kind of arguing with Tony of like, he doesn't need you to adjust him right now. Like, would you stop interrupting the doctors when they're talking?
To her hesitation.
Yeah. And he was so like, I don't, this is what I know is going to help him. And of course he needs these life-saving medical things that are happening in these interventions, but I also know he needs chiropractic. And it was along that journey that, that I would see just different things of these babies in all these different pods. What's the only thing that Oliver is getting that these other babies are not, where he is just making these enormous leaps and doing things that the doctors are telling us are absolutely not possible and he's not going to do them and setting us up kind of for the worst. And so I got to see that firsthand. And that's when I started to be like, okay, tell me a little bit more about that nervous system thing you were trying to tell me about that I didn't want to hear anything about. Yeah. And
Tony, how far out in school were you, or how far graduated out in practice?
Oliver was 3 years. So those first 3 years, but Addison was born 2 weeks before we graduated. So, so looking back with this card, like Kristina was so busy figuring out the business of being a mom.
Yeah, like and figuring out like QuickBooks and where do I file that paperwork
and all of that. So there was miracles happening. Like for chiropractic, it had taken over me far beyond a business early on.
Okay.
But I think I knew to kind of like save and nobody's going to believe this when I say this, but save the dramatic over the top stories about patients, like not bring them home every single night. Cause she was just so in a great way, buried with being a mom and then setting up all the back end of the business, that it was kind of like, hey, this whole massive vision, inspirational part of chiropractic, we can kind of table that a little bit for you.
Which is hilarious because like, he's like, oh, I'll save the like fruits of the labor. She's busy.
Yeah.
We got another bill today, honey. Here, handle this.
Get those procedures ironclad now. It's crazy in here. Lock it up.
But then really, I don't think I was ready for it yet. I think at that point, like I wanted to be mom. I wanted to, like, I had no desire to get fully involved. Like, yes, I definitely help set up the business and do things. But at that point, if you would have asked me, like, what do you want to be? A mom, only that. Like, I had no desire to be anything other than mom. And so I think he kind of was doing that to respect that of, I wanted to be at home, raise our kids. And honestly, that's where I wanted to be always. I never pictured myself getting this involved in the business. But then as I started to get involved in the miracles, it was like throwing elbows, like, get out of the way, let me at it. Like, I want to get more involved. I want to do more. And it's kind of impossible once you do start to see what chiropractic can do for families that you just don't have, like, aren't fulfilled with this desire to, where can I bring my skills in to help? Because we need to let more families know about this. And so then once I started to know about it, I think he even was like,
whoa,
yeah, slow down a little bit.
Croatian crusader. let's go to bed once, yeah. It's almost just this like nonstop, which kind of what we started with on this thread, right? It's like this dual sprint, which then created different challenges we've had to figure out and are still figuring out of like, okay, we counter-oppose each other really well. God put us together with some great balancing points in a lot of areas in life, except this one. Like we are both just hardcore sprinters and get after it. And so, but that also has created, the ability to break through a lot of walls that we wouldn't have by any chance broken through on our own,
Mm-hmm.
So as you guys kind of got to the place you are now, and with her not being super involved in the business and getting more and more involved, was there ever any issues when you did butt heads of like Tony going like, well, this is mine and I built this and I had the vision and I got us here? Like, how did you guys settle those fights or those disagreements as you got more involved?
Not so much in that space.
Yeah, no, I don't think ever in that space. I think it's more so like our headbutting more so comes into, and I think it was just lack of communication. When I did start to get more involved, it was almost like I forgot to tell him I wanted to get more involved. So it would just be like, I went from like, I love what we're doing. I love what you're doing. I love seeing you shine. When you get home, I'm going to have dinner done. The kids are going to be bathed. They're going to be ready for bed. And I kind of didn't really communicate with him of the like, no, now we're doing this together. And like, lots of times him coming home and being like, what's for dinner? And I'm like, I don't know what's for dinner. And like,
nice question. Oh yeah. Oh my, I used to roll home.
I don't know, bitch.
Yeah. You judgmental a-hole. And I was like, I don't think I'm a judgmental a-hole. What just happened? It's like 3 years of that, figuring it out. And yeah, there used to be like this really awesome like paleo dish and
and now I'm like frozen pizza and you're gonna like
it was like paleo meals, cute kids smelling all good, and the Berenstein Bears, which by the way, let's sneak that in here as a joke. Like when you read your kids, this is great parenting advice for everyone. I'm obsessed with this. Choose Little Critter for bedtime, not Berenstein Bears, because Little Critter just gets right to the point. They both have moral to every single book, but parents who have read both will get this. Little Critter is like story, funny, joke, point, go to bed. Berenstein Bears are like, just belaboring the point. So yeah, that changed, and it took forever for us to figure out that it had changed.
I remember where we were driving on our way to Minneapolis when it hit me that like, it is also Kirby's business. And it was from a really weird mind path. So how far?
The story does not make you look good. I don't know why you keep telling it.
Carry on.
How many stories have I told that I give a shit if I look good? Like, this is my MO in life. I think to just like shame myself publicly. So what were we 2 years in? And in my defense, when we started, you obviously did all the business stuff, but you were still corporate consulting.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it was like, Kirby's got a job. I got a job. And then like Kirby was making sure that this was also doing good. So he had like 1.5 jobs and things were going well. It must've been at least 2 years in. And I would say like, I don't know, we would get in like teeny little fights where I wouldn't necessarily say it's my business. But there was it was definitely felt.
Yeah.
And I felt it. And so we're driving and I think one of our friends was maybe getting a divorce and somebody was having to pay alimony. And I'm like, we're driving. This is a non sequitur. And I just go, wait a minute. So you're saying, nobody was saying, if you cheat on me and divorce me and go off with some hussy, you get half of my business? And he's like, okay, well, for driving, like, first of all, I would never do that. And I'm like, yeah. But if. And he's like, well, technically, yes, in the state of Wisconsin. Yeah. And I'm like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess if the state legally sees that, I guess this is half
we
your
have a business.
Come on in. Yeah.
Welcome to the business. It took me a little weird way, but
that's an odd path to
it's
that.
an odd path.
Conclusion. Yeah. Blame the hussy. Somewhere there's a hussy.
There's definitely a hussy in there.
God has figured out weird ways to communicate of like, all right, fine. Think about this example. I tried all the other ways, the marriage, the Bible verse. All right, fine.
Goodness.
But I remember our conversation and we were actually on a walk. If we ever have disagreements, we go on a walk and we don't allow ourselves to come back home in front of the kids until we have figured it out. Like if it gets to the point where it's a little know. Yeah, the neighbors definitely know when it's, but the kids, we hope, do not.
They're all 90.
And, and so
Is this how you became a distance runner?
She has to pull wood. It's not like we can go for I'm just dry heaving. If we made this on a run, she would go like, I'd be just dry heaving and unable to talk. Like,
no matter what.
And then she's like, I win. You can't say anything.
Don't even just, can we just end the run? Yes, you win.
Yes. Just, can I sit down, please? Yeah, no, we definitely do.
And I remember the conversation though, of where it was like almost me upset of like, maybe he doesn't want me as involved, but just totally missing the boat of, I want you to be as involved as you want to be. I just need to know. So then we can kind of figure out like, who's doing what with the kids, who's doing what here. And so we can have a better action plan so we can make this successful instead of it feeling so chaotic if we're both going to be this involved. And that was kind of like my light bulb moment of that we do need to do a better job of, just planning out our weeks. And we have 4 kids. So there are a lot of driving. Like, I mean, some days I feel like one of us is like literally in the car all day. And so there's just so many planning things that need to go down with the kids alone. And then you bring in the business part of it. So we just kind of reached that point of just how much we need to be in sync with our schedules and our weeks and where we're planning different things. And
and it was just communication, because there was always early what you wanted was not that, just to be very helpful and very integrated, but to align. Like there was a clear line in the sand of like, hey, I'm going to run the back office and QuickBooks and, whatnot. But when it comes to like the team stuff and marketing stuff, you're up, Buttercup, that, and then all of a sudden, like, it was like a marketing thing and like, you're all in there. And then it was like a team thing and you're all in there. I'm like, why are you here? Why are you here? Like, and
not only did I come in, but I'm super opinionated. So I came in not quietly, like, I just want to sit in the back and have a seat here. I came in like straight up hot, opinionated. No, that's not the best way. Actually, let's change that. I don't like your idea here. And so it was a big shift of like, when we started our journey as like parents and business owners, I thought my day was successful if he came home and I had like the house clean and dinner ready and kids ready. And then all of a sudden I came in and my view of like what my day to day, if I'm successful in my day, just totally completely changed. and I didn't really rope him in on how I wanted that to change.
Could have sent an email, text, DM.
Well, you guys are having these conversations at home eventually.
Yeah.
How big was the team at this point? And did you just like bring her in? How did that work with like the team going, like, wait a minute?
Now that we think back to it, I think it definitely disrupted the team. You know, we definitely went through a turnover at that point because now it was co-leaders instead of, a leader, and you were kind of part of the team. Honestly, it really was a resituation of the seats, I think, and kind of that order of it. And we were we were so green in our leadership. Like neither of us, I hadn't really even spent, this from coming here for the leadership training, like I had spent zero time learning how to be a leader. It was just this default thing that so many of us get into. Like I figured out how to be a great chiropractor. I figured out how to communicate in market. Like that's 2 big journeys. I'm done. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to cruise. Like I want no other big jobs, like time out. We're going to call these. Is this enough? How's this not enough? Mother of God. Right. And then you look around a team meeting and there's like 12 people there and you're like, who's going to, get you all on the same page and like do the things that I think the person sitting in this seat is supposed to do. And then we're like, oh shit, that's me. And so the fact that it became a we was super bumpy at first, but super needed. So it was easy for me as I exist on massive dichotomies because the stuff I love, I freaking love. And the stuff I don't love, I loathe, like none other. And so all the things she's great at in that realm of running the shop, my goodness, it was such an easy handoff. Like organization, all of it, like she goes home her first day that we realized it was actually full-time, like 18 boxes. I'm like, all this shit, it's all yours.
And
let me know how it goes.
That's where it started because the things that he would actually come home most stressed about, I would be like, ooh, that's my jam. Like, that's what I'm good at though. And he would be like, we need to hire for this, or then this person didn't work out and now I have to take this over again. And it would just be like our nightly conversations of everything that bummed him out, stressed him out.
Straight up.
He absolutely just did not want to do. I would just kind of be
like, I can do that.
Like, wait a minute, like this is something that I would be so good at.
For free.
Yeah.
Tony, I've learned that they don't like when we like make like I pay you.
I have a consulting firm, so she does.
That's genius. Another, perfect. Offshore accounts. No, she gets like, what is it? The minimum for Medicare? Whatever.
Whatever your accountant has told you to do.
Yeah, straight up 15 years, not a single raise. But I also I've never seen money into me.
Yeah. I feel like really it's opposite though, because I do so much of like the back end stuff. Like in my mind, I own 100% of the business.
You could send money in all directions and I would have no clue. You could buy a helicopter and I'd be like, well, there's a helicopter.
I just learned, talk about stories that embarrass. So I knew how to take money out of an ATM when I was in college. And then ever since we started a business, how I got cash was asking Kirby for cash, which is just really funny. So like there have been times I've been on vacation without Kirby and I'll be like, oh shoot, I don't have cash. My friends will be like, oh, well, we can stop. And I'm like, I don't have a debit card. And I have to explain because
a debit card. I didn't like not give her a debit card.
Yeah. You wouldn't have remembered the PIN if you had it. I don't know.
I don't. And I literally just learned how to go to Quick Trip with the debit card and like get money out for garage sale. And 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I know how to get cash. But yeah, up until then, it was just like, I just use the plastic thing. And then Kirby sometimes go, hey, stop using that quite so much. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're poor. Okay, shit.
And that's what she does. It's either like we have all the money in the world, I can buy whatever I want, or like you told me to budget, like are we gonna lose the house? And I'm like, no.
But I came from like we both came from very, I don't want to say lower class.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up financially strapped because my parents were farmers and bought their entire farm paid for by the time they were in their early 40s. So it was like budgeting, like we like could only rent a movie every couple of weeks because it wasn't in the budget type of thing.
So our vacation was the Minnesota Twins game, Metrodome, the land that Kirby built, left field seats. I think it was like $4 or $6 to get, and they were the key tickets because you were also fed. We stayed at the Thunderbird Inn, so I think right by where the Metrodome used to be. Night, and then you had to be back home the next morning to get chores done and do all that. So this is another place we don't counterbalance each other. We are both like just straight 2000s hip hop rappers, like just swipe it, spend it, send it.
How? I want to talk about affluence as parents, because what kind of struggles are you running into with because this whole next generation, I am scared. Like there was a documentary called Snowflakes or something. I haven't watched it, but it's about just apparently a bunch of high schoolers who are like, oh no, I don't want a job, and they don't plan on getting jobs. And but what kind of struggles have you guys gone through with your, you've been blessed and abundant and this and that, but
yeah. And my parents would have the excuse of we can't afford it. So I didn't expect the bike or whatever, but they know we can afford it. So how do you teach your kids about responsibility, about money, all that stuff?
Yeah, we're big on this.
Yeah, we, I think we just are very intentional that we bring them in a little bit of we bring them into the work. We want them to see that, yes, we truly do have such an incredible life. And, they've been on lots of vacations and they go to a private school. They have, they have a life where they probably are thinking that there's a lot of things that you can have and you just can have them. And we're super intentional that they know.
I think they would think that if we didn't do this,
that we don't want them to think that. And so we're super intentional that they know about the work that is behind it, that they help us with the work. Like Addison, helps us with some PX website things. She works every week for us. And we're very intentional with the amount of responsibilities that they have in part of it with us.
Yeah. Character, chores. There's a whole strategic plan to this. So when you ask that question, I see my whiteboard for don't let my kids be bleep, right?
Yeah.
That is the whole goal. Be kind, be respectful, be grateful. It doesn't matter what you do or what your income or whatever else, but there's a character line in the sand that is drawn. So I'd parallel this to how we teach people to talk about chiropractic. We feel you're one of the best at this, produce content, talk about it so much that it's almost annoying. You've reached such a level of depth with the same message over and over again that it's probably annoying, but then people remember it when they need it. So right now our kids don't need it, but they will need the character values. So I can think of when they drive to school. So we got a 30-minute drive in the truck to get to school. They all know they each get one song. They get to pick a song as they go along. And then we turn on this certain street and I make this sounds terrible when I say it out loud, but I'm sticking with it. I'm well too into this plan to back off now. They each have to mention one of the Ebel character traits, one of our family, kind of core values.
I like that.
They got to say it. They got to give an example of how they would use it. I mean, they are saying it through bated breath and eye rolls and, the whole thing.
Yeah, don't think they're this is awesome.
No, they're not
the core value plan.
I just wrote a paper on gratitude today, Father. No, none of that. But that's the point, and then chores, the farm has fun to it, but we also fell in love with living on the farm so that there would be responsibilities and chores. And so, there's kind of a multi-layered approach of saying, but Kristina's is the most important. What she said is and she's the best out of the two of us at that. If we're going, we just built PXHQ and there's been a ton of projects and that going on, they're coming with us. They're running with her there and there. They're going to sit there. They're going to help us, unload boxes and put together chairs. You gotta be in it to get it. And so we very much, I remember PwC, Addison being there 24/7, they've just grown up in it, which I think Kirby, for me and being on the farm, that was what's up. You were doing chores. I used to hate snow days. Every other kid was like, snow day, we're sleeping in, not going to school. I was like, I'm up at 4.
Yeah, it's you can help me milk cows then. Great.
Yeah. Oh, you wanted to go outside in the blizzard, didn't you? Can't wait.
Yeah. And we're also super intentional too, though, of like, as we've been able to, just do well in life, we're intentional about who we bring in to help us with things, because we might be able to hire somebody to help with something, but then is that showing our kids that it's just going to be even more easy straight, or now you need to help out with even less, so we're intentional when we do bring in people and hire people, that it's not going to take away from the things that we ask our kids to help us with.
Yeah, that's a big thing we struggle with.
You walked right into the question that I was going to ask next. So like, one of the characteristics of a 3, but I think lots of other Enneagram types can have this, but like we tend to be like workaholics.
Yeah.
So if it is between like during our open hours, but I don't have to be adjusting, or I shouldn't say, if I'm not there adjusting and I'm home, if I'm vacuuming my house, I'm like, this is bullshit. I might as well be adjusting and making money. Now, if it's Saturday morning and like we're not open, I love cleaning my house. But if it's Wednesday morning, I'm like, I might as well be adjusting, or like grocery shop. I like grocery shopping, but if it's during our work hours, I'm like, so how, especially since you have the conglomerate, which I say as a compliment of PX, how did you decide to, like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, they're taking care of goats. You could be making another video, or like you're running the kids to soccer practice. What if you got a nanny? Like I have tried talking Kirby out of mowing our own lawn for the last 3 years. I'm like, literally, I can pay a high schooler and you could be doing this.
But then I wouldn't get my outside time, and I would take that time and go to the gym anyway. So
that kid would jack up your lines and it would look all crappy.
I think it has to be forced time. Like, I think we are all such hard chargers that if we didn't have the forced, and I know that sounds horrible of like, you're forced to hang out with your kids, because I don't mean it that way, but there are always going to be, when you own your own business, there are always going to be things in your brain that make you think the business is more important, because it has to get done, and it supports your family. So we have like have to time out in the barn as a family without phones, looking at emails, checking things that the business needs. So it's almost our like forced time to slow down. And then in the car driving to school, it's a long drive. So it's like forced conversation. And I know forced makes it sound so bad, but it's it's time that you like, there's no other choice but to have it be conversations. There's no other time other than it's forced to be slow down. And so for us, because we are such hard chargers, is we like honestly thought about that. If we get animals outside, there's going to be twice a day we're going to need to be out there when you're cleaning out the barn. And then I can't even tell you, it's like you're a whole other person when you are done doing those things, because you made yourself have that time to slow down. And I don't know that we would otherwise choose time to slow down. So we have to be like forced. If you have no other option right now other than to slow down and do this.
I think honestly, like if you ever get word that I no longer mow my lawn, okay? And when I say lawn, we have 20 and a half acres. 5 hours. That's with the 72-inch. My lawnmower goes 22 miles per hour. I knew that's awesome. It has a seatbelt. I got it. I was like, why is there a seat? Oh, because I'm at risk of death every time. Okay, let's go. And you know me, Raging Bull, I was like, boom, like just, I'm like leaning like a kid on their bike.
Time to beat. All right. It's like he's PR. Like, all right, last time, Tony, you mowed the lawn in 5 hours and 47 minutes.
With excellence. You got to have speed, and you got to have the lines to it. But like, honestly, if you get word that I'm like, okay, PwC and PX are not publicly traded companies yet. So this isn't really, you can't do this. But if you see someone else mowing my lawn, I would short our companies. Like a year after that, they're going down, because that is my, oh my God, cool the freaking engine off. I'm thinking, I'm I'm listening to podcasts or the Twins game, whichever I need to be in that moment. And I just think, and I have the most clear vision building time and that out there. So I think I actually think it fits. And I'm glad we're having this discussion, because people will pick up on it. Hopefully it'll land, because you have fit your life to be forced to do the stuff within the business, especially if you're a startup or in that stage. That's a forceful sort of thing. And you got comfortable with the forcefulness of it, right? And saw the fruits of it. So now you just apply that back to life and you're like, okay, I've got to force myself to schedule that. That's what you guys are amazing at that. Like, schedule that vacation. Like when you're done with the one, you better have the next one on the books, because otherwise you'll blast through 6 months and not do it. We've been good about that. There's been a 90-day mark, quarterly vacation. Every single quarter since we kind of couldn't afford to take it, we took it anyways, just to get in that habit. So it forces the right word.
Yeah, just that downtime for your mind. Like I think there's a Gandhi quote where like it says like, if I have major problems today and I have scheduled wall to wall, I better meditate twice as long.
Straight up.
So you don't get in that frantic mode.
Do you actually like meditate, or is the rucking, is the running for you, Kristina?
Yes.
Like, is that your meditation?
Yeah, the farm work, the rucking,
and running for me. Yeah. Like my
and
best
prayer.
ideas are when I'm running. Yeah. And we are, and even too, like just different, like settings where we're surrounded by people who are very much like on the same pathway as us. So we don't truly have like a lot of friends outside of our like working. Like our kids make fun of us. They're
all
like,
the time.
do you have any friends that you don't work
That
with?
don't work for you.
And we're like, I mean, I feel like we'd be friends if we didn't work
Addison
with
is
them.
so
But the
judgmental.
answer is no. But we have a people that we are around.
See how popular I am online.
I know.
I have lots of friends online.
Oh, that's a great Addison story. One time her teacher is a patient, and it's like 3rd, 4th grade. And her teacher, so kind of knows about all the stuff we do. And I was traveling a ton back then. And she's like, your dad is kind of famous in chiropractic. Addison, there's 80,000 stories are just like this with Addison. And she's like, then how come we're in airports, nobody recognizes him? Just deadpans it and then just walks away, doesn't care. But that's a huge part of it. It is, we choose, oh my goodness, do we choose our circle intentionally? So you either got to love, you got 2 C's, chiropractic and Christ. Like you got to, so it's our school and our practice. The reason we fell in love with our kids' school, Trinity Oaks Christian Academy, is because it operates like PwC. It's a living, breathing, interconnected community of people who have the same values. The half of them come to PwC, or they do now anyways, right? Now that I'm on the board at Toka, I'm head of marketing there too. They chose wisely. They don't need anything else from me other than like, oh, you have a large, thriving pediatric and family practice. We have something for you. It's heaven. It really is.
So did that narrowing of your circle happen naturally, or did you guys have to like intentionally kind of let go of friends that you came up with? Or like we're old high school or college friends.
Yeah.
And even in chiropractic, we had to do the same. People who had value, you get, Lauryn, we talk about this a lot on text and DMs, you get out and you're like, oh, this person, they have this expression in this way about them, kind of in that public facing, social facing thing. And then you go to dinner after the event and you see how they treat a waiter or how they treat their spouse or how they talk to each other. And you're like, I'd rather be friends with a whole lot of people than you. Yeah. So we had to go outside the line to know where it is.
Yeah. And things get so busy. So it definitely was an intentional decision, because it's like, if I don't have time to take care of myself with a run, or if I don't have time to read my kids a book before bed, if I don't have time for all of these things that are very important to me, but I do have time to spend with people that, aren't necessarily in alignment with my values or, who I want to be, then it's just not worth it. And so it's like, if you're saying no to all of these things that are super important in your actual life, but you're saying yes to things that aren't, like it is a very intentional thing. And it doesn't have to be in like a, mean, like I'm better than you. We're not going to be hanging out anymore. Right. No. But it is an intentional, only saying yes to those things that are in alignment with what you want.
We already have 5 besties. There's a lot of evils, And
family does help with that, because like you go to the wrong conference or you go to the wrong dinner with someone and you go, God, I wish I was just back home with the kids.
I was so jealous. You posted a while ago, like an empty O'Hare airport. And it was like getting home at midnight. And I was like, because you definitely know, you and I've talked about how like there's a lot more traveling opportunities. None of them paid. Whole podcast is just like, Jesus, Lauryn, how many times have we heard you bitch about this?
I will add on.
I just had Courtney Kayla. Her episode isn't aired yet, or maybe it will be by this point. But we were talking about this and I asked her like, so what's next for you? And she's like, basically, I think she literally said, not speaking at Mile High. And I'm just like, I'm laughing and I'm like, I just spoke at Mile High, right? She's like, yeah, it looks like you had a blast. And I'm like, oh my God.
I think it was really already about this.
No, and it was, and I did really enjoy it for sure. But she then said, like, do you want to know what I'm getting paid? And I was like, yes. Yeah. And she's going to speak at some non-chiro conference. And she said, this is on air. She said, they're paying me $6,000. And I'm like, huh? What? And I'm like over here asking, like, can you pay for my hotel room?
Can I get 2 free drink vouchers?
That's a problem.
Yeah, and I don't think you know that until you know that. Like,
you don't know until you go.
I think, like, Tony, when he first kind of started out, and even I would be like, he would say no to a speaking thing, and I would be like, oh, why don't you go ahead and give them a call back and let them know.
It's like when we used to decline Medicare back pain patients early in the practice, Kristina would go back into the parking lot, back into their Buick LeSabre with 5,000 miles, even though it's 1993. Like, grab them with their walker, carry them into the office, be like, no, you can come in. We'll accept your exam fee. And I'd be like, get that home. Get. Speaking was the same.
But I don't think you know that until you do kind of know, okay, so this is time away from the family. This is an expense. And you like see it all laid out, especially me, because I just kind of thought, I wasn't there, but I did think, well, you're going to be in front of other chiropractors. Like, this is a great opportunity for you.
And then you came a few times and you were like,
and then I was like, okay.
This hotel,
okay,
is burgundy and smells. And, so I think, let's talk about this strategically. We have chatted about this, and you have complained about this a lot on the podcast. So
I really need to stop. We just put this to bed.
So here's some strategery for all of us, and I honestly mean it. You and I and the crew, like, we can commit to this. Our generation of chiropractors, which I got to assume is kind of your listenership. We're young, so clearly
we're still young.
So young. We're lit. We're fire. We get it.
Yeah.
Right. Our vibe is, I think that's the word, is just super chill and young. So we have the opportunity to repeat what didn't work well for chiropractic or change it without judgment, just with learning, right? And so we've learned. And so and we're doing this with PX, we have made very strategic shifts with our PX events. Everybody who comes and speaks gets paid, is going to get paid well. They're going to have their travel covered. They're going to have a good hotel. They're going to have a great experience. They're going to be very valued in that way. We changed our seminars from Saturday and Sunday, where you miss your entire family, you miss church. We do them on Thursdays and Fridays. One, you get to stack your schedule Monday through Wednesday, which teaches you how to see volume that you didn't think you could. All of a sudden you're like, whoa, that was way easy. Then you get to the training, and guess what? I go home literally I actually strategic. It's in my backyard. So I'm going home to my home, to the kids. Mm-hmm. And then everybody else is home by, it's O'Hare, work local, right? Flights in and out everywhere. So they get home either Friday night or Saturday morning. But for us, and I'll shout out to this one, that is, I used to thought, this is the big thing. I'm going to go to all these dinners. I'm going to stay the whole time. And those dinners they weren't for me. I'll just leave it as that. They weren't for me, right? That wasn't serving the purpose. I would come home adrenal fatigued, fatter, because I go fat, right? So I leave chubby and husky. So this was huskier, coming home and just tired. And then whatever I had left of the weekend, I was a deadbeat dad, which has always been the line in the sand. If I have this much energy to do my work, I'm going to have this much energy to smoke Oliver in the driveway and do that. So I protect my
and not just smoke.
Yeah, not like Peter and I just out there vaping. Just thank you for clarification.
So bigger than you.
Yeah. And so I come home, I book. Now if I do take a speaking gig, it is it's kind of like the friends discussion we were having. I am and I know how this can sound on the surface, everyone, but man, if you've been there, you know, and I'd love to help you be there sooner. That's our whole mission with PX. I had a guy shadow last night. He's like, how long did it take you to get to this way that the practice is, where you just love it and it's this wildly impactful? And I said, I was wrong for 9 years. Literally, I took 3 to 5 year paths in the wrong direction twice. So, carry the two, we're at like a decade. So I said, so if I can save everybody else that time, not by being judgmental of, I did this practice model, it's not wrong. It was wrong for me. I did this practice model with all the integrated, all that stuff with peds. It's not wrong. It was wrong for me. And so I think it's the same with speaking, where staying all weekend and doing that, I come home Friday night. That's the post that caught your eye. I love I call it loser night.
It's so smart.
You just haul right through. Nobody's in there. It's like going to the gym on Friday night. Everything's open.
And it's the perspective though of, I think sometimes you think like, well, I might be missing out because that might be with some important people and they're going to help me. But you're also then missing out on what's even more important. And that's like your kids seeing that you did go do something, but now you're home and you're ready for family time and you're ready for, especially as our kids get older. Like, I think we made that switch like hardcore as the kids have gotten older, because, now 14 and 13, those two, they know, like, if he's gone, that he's choosing to come home to them. And that matters. Like, of course, they're not going to be like, you're such a great dad, thanks for doing that for me. Like, they don't see that now, but I know as they get older, they're going to see that.
They don't talk about that when I'm gone. They're not like, really. Man, that guy's great. We really miss him.
Devin Vrana does a very similar thing. I've been at a couple conferences with her where she's like
flew in the morning. She was going to speak and left like early the next morning.
And I was like, yeah. So it is definitely, but there is the FOMO. Of like,
she's
and for me,
a big FOMO person.
Not necessarily. I've learned that, it is the FOMO of fun. It is like, wait, and then he broke dance on the dance floor.
And a mechanical bull.
Doing better with that as I get older. But it's still the coattails.
Yeah.
And that's again a very 3 thing. Like a 3 walks into a room and we scan who's the most, like, you should wonder whether I actually like you or if you're just going places in life. I've said this to my best friend.
It's a compliment.
I'm leaning towards the latter. I'm definitely leaning towards the latter with you right now. Really.
But yeah, it's just like, but if I go, then I won't get to go to that dinner with that keynote, and that keynote might take me places. And so like, it is getting better, but like back to what you said, like if you could save people, I do agree. I'm very loud and clear about like, I wish I would have started with an insight scanner. I wish I would have, when I started, and I want to talk about this trend, and we will be very respectful of Gen Z as we do it. Yeah. So I have hired a few Gen Zers now. And at even I feel like at a conference, even the questions you get on DM from Gen Z they're so tortured in their 20s. I have been asked in the last 2 months a form of the same question 3-4 times, where how do you balance the self-work while starting a practice? And I'm just like, and we were talking because one of the questions came up while I was on a panel at Mile High. And then that night we were talking to Mo and Tamara, and, basically, I think it was Mo who said like, they don't have the skills in their 20s.
They haven't lived enough life to know what their pattern is, I think she was,
we're not going to say it.
She was a little more outgoing. It's just saying like, Go get drunk. Go make mistakes. Yes. Go light some fires. I think she said. We were like, what?
Yes. Yeah, I think we love that. We subscribe to this. I love this. This is definitely a conversation we can help with, because we are very respectful of the different generations, the different makeups. Like that you can't run a family practice without just having empathy and compassion for everyone, coming out of your eyes. But you also can't run a family practice without saying, hey, thankfully, through a lot of hard lessons, and good times, we've learned the way. We have the blueprint to be successful. So if you're asking me for that, we can't give you a false answer, right? We have to give you truth, whether that hits you, in your journey for truth, wrong or not, right? Like it might close your angel wings for a little bit, just thinking natural and all that. Like it's one of those things where we really are
up your chakras. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. Right. We love it because we are very blessed. I had the best internship mentorship experience. We obviously have a ton of interns and a ton of mentors. So we've had to really think strategically and figure this out as well. So what we never hide is the truth that there is a level with which you need to operate and you need to earn to not even just like you guys said it right, to not just get the fruits of that, but to figure yourself out. I really think they absolutely are making these kind of like lifelong decisions while they're on chapter 3 of a 22 chapter book. And so it's like, you don't have all the information yet. My dad, I think, would be good. I remember talking to, this is all retrospective. These were not conversations he had as we went along. But a couple of years ago, we were out in Vegas where they've retired, which is an interesting scenario where a farmer retires in Vegas.
Very interesting.
Yeah, another story for another podcast episode. But he said there's 3 phases of life. So he was a farmer. So he was an entrepreneur. And he said the first phase is figure it the bleep out. You literally just go in all directions to figure out what you're good at and what you can accomplish, but you really kind of don't have a plan. You know, you'd like to think you do in your 20s, but you really don't. And that's okay. And that's what he was saying. Like, so we were in the second phase when he was given this. And he's like, then there's the second phase whereby lighting these fires, getting drunk, going to the dinners, doing all the things we could give 100, like you figured out what you want to do and what you don't, what you're good at and what you ain't. And so you double down, triple down on the good and what you want to do. And you kind of, my dad's words were, you cement and kind of really stabilize your success. And then you have a third phase, which is you can invest. You know, now you can take your success and you could layer onto it. So like for a farmer, so he paid everything off, right? So they got the whole farm, they got everything, the house, they had 4 kids. So it took him 2 full phases, not one. Everybody's got to hear this, 2 full phases of hard work to get it all paid off. And then he said, and then you have a third phase and you can kind of go at it one more time. I could have bought a bigger farm, I built a bigger shed and bought $1 million combine. But where he was, age and phase, he's like, I decided to take the third phase and coast and kind of and he did. He just wrote everything out for 10 to 20 years until retirement. And he's set, you know. And so we're not at that phase yet. We don't know what we'll decide in the third phase. But I think a lot of Gen Z are looking at the first phase thinking it's the third, and that, you know, have it all figured out and coast is available to you right now. I don't think it's available to you right now, you know, and that's nothing against you.
No, it's just, you got debt. You got to go to work.
Yeah, they got conflicting messages as they were coming up, I think, of like, you should have happiness and joy in every moment. And then also on the other end, they were tricking them into borrowing $400,000. You need to make that money.
Like, that's no different within chiropractic. Like, I think that there have been so many times, at least for us, that we're like, we want to learn from you. And it was like, the pathway is easy. And you're going to be able to work only, 2.5 days a week, and it's all going to be there for you. And it's going to be, and I think even in chiropractic, just in a different sense, is that's why we are so intentional of being so incredibly honest of, you want, like when students come shadow or when other docs come shadow of, it's hard work. It's going to be stressful. You're going to have team struggles. You're going to have all of these things, because I think we've kind of been lied to in order to be sold on, if you, follow me in this program, it's going to be super easy street from here on out. And that's not the case. And I think even like going back to like going out and speaking, and when I would travel with Tony and we would go to, like the keynotes practice and walk in, and I would be like, honestly kind of bummed out of like, wait a minute, you're telling all of these people this is the path, but then your actual, how you've done it is no different than the other 100 chiropractors in your town. And it was almost just like defeating for me of like, what, like, why are we learning from you? And so that's why we've been so intentional about, we're going to be so incredibly truthful about what it takes, truthful about what you're going to do along the way, what the journey is going to look like. Buckle up, because it's going to be a little bit bumpy at points. And, but just also making sure they know the truth of what it takes to get here.
It's a chiropractic pandemic problem. Okay. That $1 million practice is our pinnacle. This is as far as we're ever going to go. Like you've consulted in the business world, Kirby. Like you go into real Businessville and you're like, oh, I have $1 million practice. They're like, you can sit at the kids table. Here you have mac and cheese bites and kitty cocktail, and we have some junior clubs for you to use on the bunny hill. That's 2 different sports, but and they're literally like, what? Why? Huh? Literally business people look at you as a chiropractor like you have 2 heads. Not because they're against chiropractic. They're just like, what is your father? My father-in-law is exactly like this. All the problems we have that we're all very familiar with, he can't even get into a conversation with me because he's like, I don't get why that would be a problem. Like, that's just dumb.
I hear some people buy software.
Yeah.
Keep moving.
Invest. Yeah. And go bigger, right? But if the people we're supposed to go after aren't actually big, well, that filters down and we all stay small. And so I think it's our calling, it's our crafting. God has said to us, whether we like it or not, doesn't matter your age or where you're at or what phase, like get up, do your chores, get after it, punch through that wall, and then open the freaking wall and show and lead the opportunity, at least the possibility for others to get through that. So we're looking, we won't stop. We're going after a $10 million, practice. We want to build a $100 million chiropractic company. And when I say those, I actually just completely screwed up in the order of them, right? That was just to kind of give a quantification of impact. We have the exact level and depth of impact we want to make here with PWC clearly defined. And we have the exact level of impact we want to go through the pediatric chiropractic profession with PX docs too. So it's going to require that size scale. And
so where do you, so like you said, like there's not a practice that you're chasing that you can emulate. So where do you go for inspiration and guidance?
Yeah,
that's because it's not chiropractic. There's no one doing what you want to do that you can go like follow that blueprint.
First, we got pissy about it. Okay. So let's start there. First, I was a whiny little baby and I was like, damn it. Why do we have to do a bunch of stuff first? I didn't, but this would be like inside PWC right now. I'd be like, can somebody else just do that thing for, and then send me the PDF? I just want a PDF, or a booklet or something. And so after being pissy, we went to prayer and we went to strategic pursuit of people. So we really have latched on to Dr. Josh Axe, to Dr. Toohill, and got in that network of people and Dan Sullivan and just the group that's there and been like, okay, these guys are, did they do it in a brick and mortar chiropractic practice? No. And that's the point. How can we take what they do, that big level thinking and investing, and apply it here? And it's, that's the journey we're on right now to be determined whether it's, we're in it right now. Right. And
we just last week had like our big strategic planning meeting. And honestly, I didn't sleep that night because I just kept being like, it's too big. Like, haven't we taken enough risks? Like, at what point is the risk enough? But it goes back to what we started of, like, it's the miracle. Like, when you see what families get with chiropractic, you can't say no to the bigness of it. You can't let the bigness scare you away. And that also has to be the anchor, because if it's only like after the numbers and this is the size I want to be, and we would have stopped honestly years ago. Like, we have enough.
Yes,
we would have stopped a long time ago. But when you have families and kids coming in and they're struggling and they had zero idea this existed, and you just see like the pain that has been in their family and the struggles that the kids have gone through and what it's done to their family. And then you see the after of that, of now what like their marriage looks like and what the dynamic of the family is like. And you get those messages of
the kid goes to chiropractic school,
or gets their driver's license because they now have gone a year seizure free and they weren't able to get a driver's license until then. And like, there are so many, I mean, like, it's just absolutely impossible to not just be, let's do this bigness. Like, we're all in for this when you base it off of that. Yeah. And
those moms are unstoppable. So we have to match them. We have to, they won't stop. They're going to keep freaking hustling, and to find us, they don't even know it's us yet for so many of them. So we got to match them. Every time somebody goes, how did I not hear about that before? I don't, a lot of chiropractors, I think a lot of chiropractors take a blame. We go, yeah, right. Pediatricians are a-holes. And God made me different. My dad made me different. It was the truck rides and the combine rides instead of the ride, that picture of the school. Like, that's on you, bro. That's what I hear every time. Like, you haven't done your job. And so that family being let down and struggling 7 years of subluxation instead of, not having that, that is the pediatrician's fault or big pharma's fault. Are they a-holes? Yes. But we have got to get that job done and fill that gap. Otherwise, I think it's on us, that they're.
I mean, it's the concept of radical self-responsibility, and it lets you see the world in a way that, is there anything you can do about it? If yes, do something. If absolutely not, then you got to let it go and not be mad. Yeah. But you can see that there is something you can do.
Sure.
Okay. One of the last questions. How do you handle the haters?
Oh. We have different answers.
Yeah.
Because there's like haters in the
I-
general population, and then there's haters within chiropractic.
Oh, you should just last. Block, delete. I feel bad for him.
I don't even think Tony honestly is aware that they're out there because he is so. I could care less. Like just like we were talking about with friends, or leaving speaking events to get back to family. Like he is so incredibly laser focused on the mission and what we're going to do. And it's like, if there's not enough time in your day to worry, or not worry, but if there's not enough time in your day to think about all of the good things and accomplish all of the good things, like, I mean, the bad things literally don't even like enter into his brain. And I'm not the same, but because he is so incredibly.
You like to cut people.
I do. Yeah. I get a little angry and I get a little like.
That 8.
Yeah. I do for sure.
Croatian gangster.
I get a little bit angry about some of it,
but you've also learned I think what is a strategy, I guess, that is natural to me is not obviously natural to others. So then you just take it as a strategy. The reason I never loved Strengths Finders, which is because I think people focus on their weakness. And I've always looked at it as like, well, just work on it then till it's not, you know what I mean? Until it's not a weakness and get help. There's strategy, there's steps. And so she's been amazing about deleting and blocking and ignoring, because knowing that if she sees it, she can't just get through it as quickly as I can. Well, then you have to plan for that.
Which is why I'm not on Facebook, because like he can like see something and be like, whatever, and ignore it. And I'm like, oh, we are going to enter this conversation and we're going to go all day if that's what it takes. But because
I've grown up too through that. So I have empathy for days. And I've been in a lot of other places too, where I'm like, well, I can see how you have that perspective. So I feel bad for them. But at the same time, I'm very protective of my time and my energy and my space. And I'm strategic. In the past, I would maybe be like, well, I'm a good communicator and I love people.
Let me get into a 4-hour-long Facebook.
Yeah, dude. And I type fast with emojis. So I'll get my point across with that heart emoji, and then they'll think I love them, love and light. No. And it didn't work. It worked like crap. So I just moved on, and literally it comes in. If somehow it gets in, I have huge guardrails up for this, but if somehow it gets in, they get deleted, they get blocked, and literally that's it.
Yep.
Done.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So for people who want to get on the PX train,
dude, in the training, you get to watch me dance multiple times to the Quad City.
That is a detractor.
I was going to say, you cancel our subscription.
Yeah. Like cut that out. That did not work to his
All right, I'll edit that part.
I do think we might need to reshoot that one now. the new studio. Okay.
Try again for people who want to get on the PX train.
So we just cut our conversions. We just in half. Okay. Where that hurt. But so let me try better on this. We are on. So what we did is we took everything you need to do to grow a successful, which we mean by that impactful. We are not a coaching company, not a training company. You don't report your stats to us. You report your miracles to us. Okay. And we train you to deliver upon them. So the beginning training, both online, and we have a live seminar too, is all about certainty and clinical. So that's why one of the many reasons we love you, Lauryn, is care planning is real. The insight, you must. If you're going to have a neuro conversation, you have to have a neuro conversation. It can't be theory. It has to be practical application. And we are literally this can sound so nerdy, but man, if people knew how valuable this is, we are the implementation and application company. I got so mad. And the reason I took 7 years wandering in the woods and the wilderness is because I had all the certifications and initials. 0% of those people taught me how to actually apply it in an organized, simple, straightforward. So that is where Kristina and Jackie and the team come in. I have the science division, the clinic, and then I've got Dr. Matt, and I've got Kristina, and I've got Jackie. So PX was built as a team. It's not the Dr. Tony show. It's PwC's team of clinicians and CAs teaching you how to do it. And so the pediatricexperience.com, longest URL ever. Whoever owns the px.com, we want to send Kristina to your front door with brass knuckles. Can't find it. So the pediatricexperience.com. Same on Instagram, at the Pediatric Experience, Facebook. But it is online. You can just start with an appetizer. You can have my science course, which is what God made me to do. right? Teach the perfect storm science. And that doesn't include the dancing video. So I really want you to have that. That's the 10D model of supplementation. You can get the entire membership. You're ready to go. Buckle up, Buttercup. That's the membership. Or we have our certificate program, which is with Life University. We have the first ever where it's really actually in conjunction with the postgrad. It's not just sponsored by for CEs. You do get them. And that program is available as well, which is online and that. But I know, the clock is the most important thing we're doing is PX Docs. So you can follow that on Instagram too, PX Docs. That is our public facing platform. It started as a directory because you do that with Blue Hills. You're making referrals. You do kick-ass care. And somebody's like, my nephew in Idaho needs you guys.
Yeah.
And we have either the choice to go on the internet, Facebook, and be like, I say I'm good, and they don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to care for it. They don't know how to adjust. And so you're going to send a kid whose trust is in your hands in that moment into the hands of someone you don't know whether they're any good or not. So PX training was all about clinical badassity first. So we went to build a directory, and this is the value of being around Dr. Axe and Tuhill. They took our one idea and they said, oh, no, you can serve the world so much more. That directory should become an online platform for parents to find hope, answers, and help. So pxdocs.com, we are literally erupting. I think we'll be
on there?
You're on there.
Oh, good.
Addison,
the one person in the next 10 years.
You didn't do it yourself.
I need someone in Rice Lake.
You need to put Kirby's email into your account so someone follows directions and gets things done. So you didn't fill out your own listing. So Addison goes to the non-doers, and you better check your photo because she just finds whatever photo she thinks is the prettiest of you on the internet.
Oh, that's great.
Addison.
Kirby, please go check it.
Lauryn is so bad at reading emails. She will sometimes forward to me or the team and go, read this, tell me what it says. And it's like 3 paragraphs long.
I'm just like, what does it say? I'm confused. I don't know. What do you want from me?
Awesome.
Now we know. Yeah.
Next, Lauryn, click this link. Okay.
I love
now
it.
What?
that thing though, you guys, and you are a big part of it. I send this to you on a DM almost every single day. Like we pray and we will help. You can't stop. You are a producer of good. You're making change. You produce content it's so freaking hard to produce enough content for just your practice. And now you chose She Slice. So now you're going to help the professional.
I got that stupid idea on a run.
Yeah, totally. Right. Well, we have 3. So now we're like,
your ideas make money.
Yeah. And our third one doesn't, by the way. Our accountant is like, this PX, he's not into the mission as much as we are, right? He's like, this PX Docs thing that you're spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 every month on SEO and Facebook ads and team and writers and designers. He's like, what does that do again? And I'm like, you just wait.
Just wait one day. One day it's going to do something. That's awesome.
So
you guys are wonderful.
Going straight to the public, and we're going to bring our homies along because we trust them because we train them. That's the plan.
That's great. And I'll have all those links in the show notes. So if people hear any of that and they want to get involved, I'll have them just below.
Cool. All right. Well, you did good. I think you did fine. You did okay. Kristina, you were wonderful.
Well, we'll do a little bonus content for the patrons only. So.
All right. So for now, this ends for everyone else. Until next week, She Slayers. Bye.